We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is?
And a good Tuesday morning to all of you. Welcome in. Oh, tough news last night when it broke. The U of M loses one in the portal. A guy we never really got to know. Well, Memphis played his team twice and beat him. But Emmanuel Acott was a guy that Memphis had penciled in for sure, not just to be a shooter, but he was a guy that could defend. He's 6'8". He's got length, understands defensive principles, versatile, can move. Perfect for the kind of schemes that Penny loves to play. This is a loss. I believe our buddy Jason Munz, who I would have called, but Munzie is away from town on some well-needed R&R, rest and relaxation. So I didn't want to bother him, but I believe he tweeted out that it had been in the works for a couple of weeks. And look, this is just the way the new college athletic scene is. You just never know. Here's a guy who was here. Here's a guy who had enrolled in classes. Here's a guy that Rick Stansbury, who we know is a very persuasive guy. Rick Stansbury must have found more NIL money that turned Emmanuel Acott's head around. Either that or, and I have no idea when I say this, but maybe he felt miffed that Penny was trying to recruit Keontae Johnson, who ended up going to Kansas State anyway. I don't know. I'm just guessing. That's conjecture. Have no clue. I'll talk with Penny about it when I get a chance. But it's a loss, and it's a loss, look, that we're going to have to wait and see, and probably you'll see more of this all over the place, where you think you got a guy and then a better offer comes in. Because the way it works now with the transfer rule, and especially if it goes to multiple transfers, with the transfer rule and the NIL money, it's free agency every year, and sometimes you can go to camp and your guy can leave, which is pretty much what happened yesterday with Acott. He was supposed to go to class, and instead he was on the campus of Western Kentucky. So he's gone, and that hurts. And I don't know where Penny finds a guy this late that could have the kind of impact that Emmanuel Acott will have. Except maybe there is a guy on the team. Because now Jonathan Lawson, in my mind, becomes much more pivotal. He's a guy who can play point guard or two guard or probably play the three. I don't know if he can shoot like Acott could. We'll find out. I know he's athletic. There were plenty of people that said for a long time the best of the Lawsons was going to be Jonathan. Now, it always seems to me, and this is true with everything, the guy who's the last one in line or the guy who's being redshirted, they're always the next best guy. And Dedrick Lawson was great. He was. He was Conference Player of the Year. He ended up going and playing well at Kansas. He was a great college player. If Jonathan Lawson is better than that, then the Acott loss won't be so bad. But in all fairness, Dedrick was Freshman of the Year before he was league MVP. And Lawson was redshirted as a freshman. Jonathan. So if he was that impactful impactful of a player, even though Memphis was pretty loaded. But if he was that impactful a player, would he not have played last year? Although you did have Bates and you had a lot of guys in that position. But think about who Memphis lost that could have come back. You know, it really could have been an unbelievable year. And now you wonder, will they be quite as impactful as they would have been after this particular loss? So, out is Acott. I think Jonathan Lawson now becomes really, really important. I mentioned yesterday, football's right around the corner, right? A week from Saturday, Memphis in Starkville. Ole Miss and Troy, all the games begin. It was a heck of a game, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I know that'll be a national one. But yesterday we shot, just to show you how close we are getting, we shot the very first Ryan Silverfield show. If people don't mind me here promoting the fact that this will be on WMC TV Sunday night right after the news, 10:30. Ryan Silverfield has made a point a couple times in recruiting, and we talk about this on the show. Do you realize that Ryan Silverfield has had the number 1 recruiting class, the number 2 recruiting class, the number 3 recruiting class, actually in chronological order, the opposite way. He's had a better recruiting class every year since he took over, and they have been, by the star rated, they have been the best classes in the history of the school. That means guys that are now sophomores, freshmen, redshirt freshmen who sat out, these classes are about to take over. Well, you got a sophomore quarterback in Seth Hennigan, who was a freshman All-American, right? Not only that, yesterday made the Manning watch list and was the only sophomore on the Manning watch list. And you know you're going to get him for another year because the NFL, you got to wait 3 years. So this is a 2 years to take advantage of a guy. And I will tell you, he has not only gained 18 or 20 pounds of muscle, not only does he know this offensive scheme inside and out, but he has matured. His interviews that you will see over the next few weeks on that Ryan Silverfield TV show, really insightful. He has become very, very comfortable and articulate when being interviewed. I think you're going to be impressed with that. But the point is, Memphis and Silverfield doing it the right way. Sure, there are transfers that will come into play, and that's the reality of college athletics right now. We just talked about the bad side of it with Acott. But the good side of it is you've got guys that have come in, like the Hamilton kid that came from Ohio State that was originally a Whitehaven player and was a tight end, played a little defensive line. Now he's going to be a starter on the defensive line for the University of Memphis. You've got that Cantu kid that came in that was a terrific defensive player. He'll be a linebacker. Murray is another kid. So you have to mix it in. But if you've got the right base and you keep these recruits that were part of these top 3 in the history of the program, you're building it the right way. I believe Silverfield is really on the right track. And J-Mo and I, who, by the way, is out again today, Zach filling in ably one more time. I think there's 8 wins in there. Maybe more. I think it's really tough starting when you've got to go to Starkville and take on Will Rogers, one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC, in a scheme that is so pass-oriented, and a team that is motivated because they think they're owed one, that Memphis stole one last year, and we'll never forget that punt return by Calvin Austin, I can tell you that. And that was a weird play, and it really was the reason Memphis won the game. So they're going to be motivated. And then you've got to turn around and take on a scheme that is totally 180 from what you've just practiced. You go from 80% passing to 90% running with that triple option and those gritty guys with all the cutback blocks that they do. Tough. It is totally different. The good news is you probably have, because it's the second game, you've probably in camp prepared a lot for not just state, but for that scheme. You've had the luxury, since it's so early in your schedule, to do that. But that is a tough turnaround. And then you play Arkansas State, which under Butch Jones, I know in Jonesboro, they're saying they're going to be a lot better this year. So if you're going to win 8 games or so or better, you got to win. You got to go 2-1, right? Don't you? Zach, don't you have to go at least 2-1? Don't you have to split Annapolis or Starkville and win the first home game if you're going to win eight games or more?
Yes. Yeah, because like you said, if there's anything, and I think you brought this up, if there's anything that's favoring the Tigers just a little bit, it's the fact that you are playing Mississippi State right off the top. So it's the first game, and typically with every first game in college football, you get upsets. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the Tigers do upset.
Well, they did it last year.
They did it last year in their home stadium. Now they got to travel to Starkville with the full complementary of the Bell Cows, the Cowbells.
Yeah, here's what is interesting to me, and obviously we're going to talk more and more about this as the game approaches. But I like Memphis' secondary a lot. You got Quindell Johnson back there. You got Greg Rubin. You've got. We'll get to starting the 2 deep here in the next week or so. I am confident with that defensive back room. I think they're pretty good athletically. The key will be, can you put any pressure on Will Rogers? Because if you don't, this guy will pick you apart. I don't care how good your secondary is. And that's where we're going to see where the new scheme and 4 defensive linemen, and you, I think, are pretty good with the starters in that. I don't think you're real deep. But that's going to be a key. Can you put some pressure on Rodgers? And the other thing is, which Memphis did okay last year, can you run the ball on the bullies to take time off the clock to keep Rodgers off the field? If you can do that, it'll be interesting. And as you say, first games are first games for everybody. Most mistakes are made in your first games. The biggest improvement in a season, coaches will always tell you, is from week 1 to week 2. So, and that's because of the unfamiliarity of week 1. So we shall see. That will be a lot of fun. Albert Pujols. And we're going to talk with Tim Doolin about that in about less than 10 minutes. The old man did it again last night. Now he's at 693. 1 single home run, the difference between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Boy, it's such a tough year for the Cubs. Just sickening what's happening on the north side of Chicago. But I'm telling you, the Cardinals are really coming together at the right time. And Pujols is part of the reason. What is he hitting, like 360 now in the last month and a half? And all these home runs? And now 693, 7 from 700, 3 from tying A-Rod as, number 4 all time, right? It goes Bonds, Aaron, Ruth, and A-Rod, right? I think that's right. That's 4.
Yeah.
So he's 3 from tying him at number 4. And you and I both think you should come back next year if he doesn't get to 700. We'll see what Tim Doolin has to say about all of that. So at this moment, no news, which I guess you could say is good news. No news on the Kevin Durant front, although ESPN just did a big thing on this thing, and they're doing it right now. Stephen A. Smith is talking about Durant.
What a little bit has came out.
Give it to me.
So the ownership for the Nets here.
Yeah.
Pulling up the ownership. Steve Nash, Sean Marks met with Kevin Durant and his partner, his business partner, and they all agreed to a partnership, I guess you could say, to stay together and work throughout this season.
So the Durant trade's off, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
When did this?
For now.
So ESPN is now reporting that. So this must have just happened.
Yeah, like in the last 10 minutes or so.
Wow. So that is obviously big. Let's see if I can get this here myself. So it that's got to be uncomfortable though, right?
Yeah. So the quote.
So here it is. We've agreed to move forward with our partnership to bring a championship to Brooklyn. So Kevin Durant will remain with the Nets. So that stuff's off. It is just breaking. But here's the thing, in life, you cannot take back what you said. You can make amends. You can shake hands and say you're sorry. But you made the statement that you can't play for for Steve Nash. And how easily do you think that goes away? How does Nash and Durant get along? Like the first time there's adversity, the first time he takes him out because he thinks he's tired, that he wants to stay in the game. Or does Kevin Durant really make the calls? Is that part of this deal? How is Nash going to go along with that? To me, when you've made as bold a statement as Durant has made, maybe it's a different world out there and I'm old school. But I think it's hard to forget what was already said. It's hard to take it back when you proclaimed it's me or him.
Yeah, it is. It is. And unfortunately for Kevin Durant, he can't go the James Harden route. I mean, he could try, but the thing is, like, everybody know, like, yeah, dude, like, we know that you can score the ball. Like, you're not even trying here. Like, everybody knew, like, ever since James Harden was in Houston, like, he was, wearing a bodysuit underneath his jersey, almost. And, like, coming to camp out of shape and different things like that.
Right.
Kevin Durant doesn't have that luxury because we know that's his body type. He's a tall and very slender guy. So if he comes in out of shape, then it's like.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't get hurt. Let's just take Will Zalatoris. There's nobody skinnier than Will Zalatoris. And, he kind of hurt his back yesterday, and I heard this debate a little bit with Greg and Eli. He played the first round of the BMW, and he played 4 holes in the second round. And then he was taking a swing, and he winces, and he can't play anymore. And now we find out it's a structural issue in his spine. So he's out for the rest of this year, but it's legit. So you can be a skinny, fit guy and still get injured.
Right.
Or you can do Achilles.
I hope not. That's not. Hope it's not an Achilles.
No.
But the thing is, like, he can't go the James Harden route. I think eventually he will get traded though. It's just, I mean, like the price tag to get him was too steep because of the Gobert trade and what Minnesota gave up to go get Rudy Gobert. And I think that was pretty much the driving factor of it, because Minnesota gave up a lot of their players and a lot of their picks just to acquire Rudy Gobert. And I don't think teams this late into the offseason is willing to, like, make that big of a transition.
True. Timing might be a part of it. I don't deny that. I think it is really hard, and maybe Kevin Durant misread the market. But I think it's really hard for a guy who has been injured, who hasn't played more than 50 games, who's 34 years old, whose last 2 years his teams have not gone deep into the playoffs. I think it's hard for him with a $50 million a year price tag for the next 4 years to find a suitor, especially a suitor that might have to mortgage their future in order to get him for right now. And if you're getting Kevin Durant, you're saying to yourself, we're committing to win right now, because he's 34 years old. There's no guarantees after 36, is there? Other than Michael Jordan and LeBron James, seriously, Vince Carter, there's some anomalies. But how many guys are really great after 36 years of age?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And most of the time, those guys are big guys that are. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, guys that are, use their bulk and height and strength for their advantage in matchups over guys that use quickness. And Kevin Durant has quickness with height. Well, at 36, you're going to lose a step. It happens to every guy. So I don't know. You got to be in that now. So here is what Shams is saying. Steve Nash, Joe Tsai, Sean Marks, they all met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman. He's the guy who's his business manager, his agent. They met in L.A. They met yesterday. So this is just coming out now. But they have decided to move forward with partnership. So here is what you got to tell me, Zach. What is partnership?
It means we agree to disagree, Wolo. We agree that we can come together for right now and play some basketball, but we still disagree with what happened before.
Oh.
And
here's what I really wonder is what input in this partnership, because, right, partnership, you're going to say something,
yeah.
I'm going to say something, I'm going to have some leverage, you're going to have some leverage. What is the leverage? What is the input? What is the role that really Kevin Durant will have on decision-making with, say, strategy? Is that what this is? Is that the partnership? Is he now a player coach?
I don't know, because I don't think that's Kevin's personality is to do player coach type things. I don't think that's his personality. But the leverage here is Durant having 4 more years left on his contract.
Well, yeah, he's got $200 million coming. His leverage is he's got $200 million.
He has the money coming in, and the Nets got the years.
And look, the Nets are just saying basically, we can't get rid of you. I mean, Joe Tsai is saying, Kevin, we believed in you. We paid you all this money. We tried to find a suitor for you, but we can't mortgage everything for you. So we're kind of stuck with each other. How do we make this work? And they came up with some partnership agreement.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that partnership agreement is. Maybe we'll find out sooner or later. I know this. We got to take a break. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios again. It's the summer clearance sale. Well, summer's dwindling down, so you got a couple of weeks right now to take advantage of things like above-ground pools with a blowout sale, $2,000 off, and do-it-yourself specials that are too good to pass up. Free ladder upgrades. Here's the best thing. Next year, because you know how expensive chemicals are, a whole season worth of chemicals if you buy during the summer clearance sale at I-40 and Wooden Road. 30% off in-stock sets of patio furniture, state-of-the-art, beautiful stuff. I got stuff earlier this summer. I'm telling you, best buy I've ever made. You can get it now and get 30% off because new stuff's coming in, and I'm sure there'll be a fall thing going on in just a few weeks. Cash in now. Summer clearance sale at Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. And this portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at my favorite auto dealership in history. Well, yeah, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai, and it's all because of the people. It really is. I've never seen a place with better customer retention because they will take care of you. And it all comes down to simple things like this. Their general manager, been there a long time with a crew that's been there even longer. They tell you on the front end you'll never pay more than sticker price on a new car from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Well, other dealerships aren't doing that. They're taking advantage of the laws of supply and demand. They take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You'll never pay more than sticker price at the corner of Highway 78 and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road. Homer Skelton Hyundai. We pause for just a second. When we come back, our friend Tim Doolin talks baseball, talks Albert Pujols, Yankee struggles, a whole lot more coming your way momentarily on Wolo and Friends.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I've got Jeff Allen on the phone over at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, what you got cooking over there, Jeff?
Randy, it's time to get in a new ride from Gossett Kia Mount Moriah. I can put you in a 2023 Kia Seltos LX all-wheel drive SUV 27 combined MPG for that summer vacation for just $245 a month. 36-month lease, $29.99 due at signing. And if you don't see what you want, no problem. We will order exactly what you want. You choose your own bells and whistles.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Service with a smile. And your Kias are always equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
That's a 2023 Kia Seltos LX $245 a month at Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Seltos P 737-134.5, MSRP 24,610. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/1/22. Dealer stock only.
Like, I don't know. Can you just pick something and order? Yeah, but anyway, where are you at? You don't look...
It only takes 2 seconds of distracted driving to become a statistic. You can lose your driving privileges, your vehicle, face jail time, or even lose or take a life. Slow down, Memphis. The life you save may be your own. Brought to you by the Memphis Police Department, Traffic Operations.
DQ presents... Picture this. Picture the burger of your dreams. It's on the new DQ Signature Stack Burgers menu. A lineup of 5 premium burgers like the Flamethrower Signature Stack Burger and Loaded A1 Signature Stack Burger with 100% seasoned real beef patties, melty cheese, and a combo of top-notch toppings and sauces galore. This dream burger is calling your name. But it isn't a dream. You're ordering at the DQ drive-thru. The DQ Signature Stack Burgers lineup. Try it today. DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hilltop Wine and Spirits, 7034 Highway 64 in Oakland, has the best prices on hundreds of your favorite brands of wine, beer, and spirits. Not sure how things taste? That's why there's a tasting room. Enjoy taste testing wine, spirits, beers, craft beers, even after dinner drinks. You have all kinds of special occasions coming up, and Hilltop Wine and Spirits can help you make those occasions memorable. You got a corporate event, a reception, an anniversary, or just a birthday with friends. Find the best selection and prices at Hilltop Wine and Spirits, 7034 Highway 64 in Oakland.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Just a quick note on the Heisman Trophy odds that came out late yesterday. 3 quarterbacks are the favorites. The biggest one is the Ohio State quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young, the sophomore quarterback at Alabama, second. Caleb Williams, who's the USC quarterback, he is third. Then Trayvon Henderson, the running back, is next, but very close to him. Getting a lot of talk, maybe the most talk for a defensive player since Charles Woodson stole it from Peyton Manning. It's Will Anderson, the linebacker from Alabama. Then Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, 2 running backs, are after that, according to Caesars Sportsbook. So, and a lot of action on DraftKings for Will Anderson, too. So it's made quite a bit of attention. This portion of the show brought to you by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the super tune-up. You know, we are going to start to think about the winter tune-up, where they do the carbon monoxide check. But we still got two and a half months worth of heat. So if you haven't tuned up your air conditioner, this is good for the longevity of the system. And they ain't cheap, folks. So take care of it because it lasts longer, and your MLGW bills will be better if your system is in harmony. That's what they do. Inside, they are going to take care of 16 different points, tune it up so it's perfect. Then they go outside. They get all the dirt and the grime and the leaves outside of that unit, and then they're going to put a little Teflon coating on the blades. That's a new twist. Oh, and by the way, they'll check your Freon levels so that everything is running smoothly. All you got to do is make the call, 384-3511. It's called maintenance. It's called making sure you're efficient and keeping your system perfect to last longer. That's called the Super Tune-Up from Conway, 384-3511. Tim Doolin, as he always does on Tuesdays, joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Doolin. And I just have to ask you this. Do you know if about 6 weeks ago, Albert Pujols was stumbling around in some park or some river and found the fountain of youth?
Nothing surprises me with Albert. If you really look at, his body has gotten in better shape. He's healthy for the first time in the last couple of years. Obviously, his work ethic is impeccable, and so I'm not surprised that he's kind of found it. He really, even though the numbers didn't show it the first half, he really had productive at bats, and you could tell he was having fun. And you hear other guys that either played with him or are part of the Cardinals broadcast team say they're not surprised at all because he's been doing it all season. It just so happens that since the All-Star break, he's really caught on fire. And,
well, I think before the All-Star break, he had 2 home runs. He's got 10 of them now. Something. Yeah. Maybe you're right. When you're 42 years old, and it could be older, who knows with Albert. When you're that old, honestly, it probably takes a while for your body to really get into sync. Weather is warm. It's perfect for that kind of stuff now. I'm just guessing here. But that productivity in the last 6 weeks is like the old 24-year-old Albert Pujols.
Well, I think one of the things, too, he's done fundamentally and with his mechanics on hitting is he's really quietened down his lower half where there's less movement. Oftentimes, the more movement you have, the more your timing's got to be spot on.
Right.
So I think he's made that adjustment, whether he's had help or advice from the hitting guys with the Cardinals or not. I think he understands hitting as good as anybody in the game. And so by quietening down, he's simplified his swing. I think he's able to stay on balls a little bit longer, not have to make a decision whether to commit to a breaking ball sooner than later. And it's just been fun to watch. And we say this every year, but, in that division, we feel like the Cardinals and the Brewers are going to be right there. And the Cardinals just the Cardinal way. They play hard. They play fundamentally sound baseball. They picked up, some good trades at the, prior to the All-Star break. And this Montgomery guy throws a complete game last night. They picked up from the Yankees, and he had good numbers with the Yankees. However, I think his ERA prior to the trade was like 3, which was really, really good. And now all of a sudden this guy's, I think, had 3 or 4 starts with the Cardinals, and it's like .39 ERA, which is remarkable. And they got Wainwright going today, and he's had a great year. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Wainwright and Albert come back next year if they make a really good run into the playoffs. I think that could happen.
Well,
we talked about Albert. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we talked about Albert last week on what he brings to the table, not just on the field but off the field and in the clubhouse, and from a mentoring standpoint with young players, but also with a young manager. Wainwright's the same guy. He just does it from the pitching perspective. So there's huge value when you consider bringing guys back, and I think you're going to get a huge discount if they wanted to come back, and if they do come back, you're not definitely going to have to overpay them.
Well, you answered my question. If he didn't get to 700 this year, would you bring him back at least until he breaks the 700 barrier and becomes the number 4 all-time hitting home run hitter in the game, only behind Bonds, Babe, and Henry Aaron? I think if he doesn't get to 700, he would probably have that option from the club. If I were John Mozeliak, I would. It's not like it's not like you can't put him on the DL or you bring a young guy up or whatever. I don't think you bring him back and say once you break the record you retire. I think you bring him back with the intent of keeping him for the whole year. Okay.
And you're gonna get him at a discount, and you're getting much more value than you would pay for. I think it's going to be up to Albert.
Oh, I know it will be. Yeah, sure. Albert doesn't. It's always going to be up to Albert because he doesn't need anything. He's made so much money.
I'm just saying. Are they going to offer him that opportunity? And I think they are. Now, if they do, I think he takes it. I really do. I think he wants to keep playing. He's got the rest of his life to dabble in baseball or get into ownership or management or whatever. He's going to be coming off of a great year, and he's never been a selfish player. It's all about the team, and he wants to win. But yet that would be a huge milestone for him to get to 700 for sure.
Man, I would love that for him. I really would. I guess the only other question I would have is if that scenario is great, and let's say they're going to win the division. They're up 5 games now on Milwaukee. Heck, Milwaukee's not even in the wild card. They're a game and a half out. They've slipped. Heck, my Cubbies hurt them a little bit. But if you make a run to the World Series, let's just say, I mean, is there any consideration where you go, wow, look at I've already got this legacy, but man, let's say he gets to 700 and they get to the World Series. What more is there?
No, I agree with that. But again, I think for him, everything that you just said, puts you at the paramount of your career. World Series, hitting 700. But for him, it's about do I have enough energy to do this one more year and exceed 700 and get to 715, and maybe be named a player coach. He's basically that right now, so I don't think he needs a title. But I think he'll wait a little bit and digest however long the off season is before he makes a decision. But I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back for another year.
The Cardinals are now.
Keep in mind, they haven't made a huge deal about a farewell tour. Every city he goes in, they sit him out at home plate and give him a present and all that stuff. They've done that with other players. So something's telling me that he's saying, "Don, I don't want to do that."
That's a great point.
I don't want to do that because I'm not an ego guy, but I don't want to do that because I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to be Tom Brady and retire and unretire and retire and unretire.
That's a fantastic point. They have not done that celebration tour. Why?
No.
Because he's a Hall of Famer. Why? Oh, I love that. Yeah. Last question on the Cardinals. They're now 19 games over 500. But are they in the same league with the Mets, with the Braves, or with those mighty Dodgers?
No, they're not. I mean, when you go through the lineups of the Braves and the Dodgers, they're just those two teams are in a different category. I mean, the Cardinals they play sound and fundamental baseball. Now, any given series, any given game, we know baseball's crazy. It can happen. But they're not in the same conversation as those two teams, I don't think.
The Yankees, who had the best record in all of baseball for a long time, what a start, have won 2 in a row now. Maybe that's quieted things down, but there was talk, and Brian Cashman was starting to feel a little hot seat there. What's with the Yankees?
Well, I think it goes back to the point of when you're banking on your team hitting a lot of home runs and you're conceding a lot of swing and miss and a lot of holes in your swing, and you don't really play any form of a small ball type of game. Whenever you go in funks, there's holes all in some of those hitters' swings, and it's hard to just get back on track in lieu of when you're playing. You have a combination of power and contact, and that's what the Dodgers do. That's what the Braves do, and to some extent, that's what the Cardinals do. Even though they've got lots of guys in their lineup that have power, they've got professional hitters. They don't just have guys that are swinging for 3-run home runs every at bat. And so I think that it's gonna continue to be tough for the Yankees, especially as you get in the playoffs. If they go on a cold streak like they have here recently in a series, it's over. And I think the teams that pitch it really, really well and play sound defense and can do the little things and advance runners are going to be the teams that advance.
So if you had to pick, say, between the Yankees and the Astros today, who do you think?
I picked the Astros.
You picked the Astros.
I picked the Astros.
I hate to say it, but I think I tend to agree with you. All right, last thing. It seems to me there's beginning to be a little bit more of a tip of the pendulum. These things always happen in sports, where you go from one extreme and then the pendulum sort of switches back and goes the other way. So, the pendulum may have been starting to swing years ago with Billy Beane and the Oakland A's and analytics. And then it went all the way to analytics where you had GMs, basically, or player personnel directors or numbers guy, giving the manager the lineup. Now it seems we may be coming back. Are we getting a balance between analytics and old school?
I think so. I had a good conversation last night with Billy Ripken and Dan O'Dowd. Were at dinner, and they called me to rag me about some Oriole things. But we briefly touched on the fact that there is getting some balance. And although I do still think a large portion of the major league teams are handing the manager the lineup, I do think that there are some breakthroughs to where the analytics guys of the successful teams, for instance, the Braves, they picked up a player in a trade, a hitter who was really struggling with his team that he came from. The analytics guys evaluated his swing, evaluated his swing path, all the holes that he had and the struggles that he had, and came up with suggestions to say, look, if he makes this adjustment based on the video that they've compiled and the data that they've compiled, we feel like this guy could turn it around. Well, then they give the information to Kevin Seitzer, who was a really, really good hitter back in the day. I know you remember him.
Yeah, sure.
With Kansas City, and he was a fundamentally sound hitter. He wasn't a huge home run guy, but he was just a consistent hitter with really good fundamentals, and then obviously is a great hitting instructor. Well, they give that information to him, and then he's able to take that information, and he knows the player. He knows how to communicate with the player. He knows how to simplify it for players because, look, there are some players that love all the analytics, and they're able to separate and draw the line in thinking too much and being able to digest it and execute it. So I think that is the model that needs to take place, to where information is gathered and given to the guys that are coaching the player every day. And then he's able to translate it to the hitter and hopefully make it connect and click with that guy, and he's able to make adjustments. So there's always been analytics, Wolo. It's just now it's computerized and it's more in-depth. And I think we've made too much of it in the media to where, look, because it sells and you talk about launch angle and this and that. At the end of the day, players have to go out and see the ball and hit it. They got to pitch it with a good understanding of how they can be effective against certain hitters or pitchers.
And I'm not saying there's not a place for a guy who sits behind a computer and studies and crunches numbers and trends. I'm okay with that. That's part of it. But if I'm a guy who's an athlete and I want to get better, I want my hitting instructor to tell me how to make that correction. That's what I want.
Yeah, and so professional hitters, hitting instructors are more. They're not as much technique oriented as they are mental coaches. And hitters in the big leagues are making lots of money, and it's their career. So you have to build trust. Kevin Long, he played for the Chicks. I'm good friends with him, and he's been one of the best hitting instructors in the big leagues over the last 10 years with the Yankees, the Phillies, the Nationals. He's worked with guys like Harper and Soto and great hitters. He would tell you that it's every hitter's different, and his job is to be able to figure out what makes this guy really good, and he's able to convince him that. And a lot of times it's nothing more than listening. And then once you build trust, when a player has trust in the hitting guy or the coach, then he goes to him when he's struggling and say, help. Well, okay, well, now you're ready to receive help. And then you just kind of subtly go through, this is what I see, and this is what I feel like would help you. And then the player has to go execute it. He's got to buy in, or it's not going to work.
He is Tim Doolin. He is our baseball guy and has been forever. Thank you, my friend. I think we already know what these races are going to be, but it's not long. We'll be talking playoffs. I appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
All right, Wolo, thanks.
Thank you. That is Tim Doolin, brought to you by Matt Eflin. There's another guy who's a team guy just like Tim Doolin, and he's a big Tiger guy. In fact, such a big Tiger guy. He's got 4777, last four digits of his phone number. He requested that because that spells out GUR. because he's a big Tiger guy. 901-386-4777 if you would like to get your insurance from a guy who believes in getting to know you. It's called collaboration. And he does this. I mean, it's just great service. He sits you down, gets to know you, gets to know your family, gets to know what your budget is, and then figures out the best way to protect your family, whether that is a home insurance program, an auto program, or even life insurance. What's important, who you are, how much money you got, so we can make it all work. And the same thing can be said for small to mid-sized businesses. He is terrific with commercial insurance for those size of businesses. He'll sit you down, gets to know your product, gets to know your personnel, gets to know what's important to you. What's your budget? Voila, he protects you. Again, 386-4777. That is Matt Eflin. Insurance the collaborative way. We pause for a second. When we come back, Russell Copeland. I got some questions for him, and he'll pick the NFC South. That comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and I'm excited. I just returned from the largest jewelry show of the year and the first really big international market since COVID turned our world upside down. The new merchandise is coming in almost every day, and it is magnificent. Whether you're looking for a beautiful diamond engagement ring or a bracelet set with fabulous sapphires, come see the endless possibilities. Maybe a fabulous ruby necklace or a pair of earrings set with sparkling green emeralds. There's a stunning selection waiting just for you. And I invite you to take advantage of our 37 years in business right here in Memphis. Come see what you get when you combine beauty and value, quality and service in a fine jewelry store. What you get is Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. I'm Bill Russell, and I invite you to join thousands of Memphians who call Russell Brothers their personal jewelers. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
How do you grow your business without spending more on credit card fees? Call Blake Jones, your local Mid-South Advanced Merchant Services representative. He works with your business to help it grow instantly. Small business owners already have enough cost. Let Blake Jones help you lower your credit card processing cost risk-free. Absolutely no cost to you, the small business owner. Call 662-408-9324. That's 662-408-9324. Call Blake Jones today and start saving money tomorrow.
Drive like a pro and support a great cause during the sales drive at Landers Ford and Landers Ford South. We've provided 100 new Fords to the pros at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Now they're all being sold with demo prices. A portion of the proceeds go directly to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. That's 100 new Ford Explorers and Expeditions, demo priced to sell now. This is a once-a-year opportunity to upgrade for less and support a great cause. Visit LandersMemphis.com or come see us at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, and Landers Ford North in Covington. With our Landers Easy Pass, you can get top dollar for your trade-in to help you save even more. Don't miss your chance to pay less during the Landers Sales Drive. Reserve your demo-priced new Ford, driven by a pro at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, and lock in low APR financing. Landers Ford and Landers Ford South. Remember, if it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Nick Saban, once again the highest paid coach in college football. The Alabama Board of Trustees just moments ago approved a new contract for the 70-year-old coach that will go all the way through 2030. 8-year deal. It's worth $93.6 million, which means he gets an average yearly salary over the length of the deal of $11.7 million. How about that? He'll be 78 when that comes to an end. His 2022 salary will be 10.7. It'll rise to 12.7 in 2029. Good for you, Nick Saban. He's worth I know he's worth every penny to Alabama. How he has elevated that university, it is amazing. Russell Copeland joins us here in a second. He's brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders, where if you want that perfect dream home or you want a renovation, I call it with renovation with innovation, because he takes all the modern amenities, puts it in that old lot of yours that you really want to stay at. He is amazing. And he knows this is a big decision you're making. It's a huge commitment. That's why he always works very closely with all of his clients. And he guarantees you this: quality construction, on time, on budget. That's what they've been doing for 2 generations. Go check it out, KenGarland.com. Once you've done that, he's really fun to talk to. Call 901-751-1632. KenGarland.com. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Russell Copeland joins us now. All right, I got to ask you this question, because I've always said this, and I think it's true, but I want your opinion. NFL exhibition season is absolutely fool's gold. Look at the 2-0 teams. Amongst them, the Houston Texans, the New York Giants, the Chicago Bears. Do we get anything out of exhibition football? Should I get excited about the Bears being 2-0?
Well, Dave, I think it would be fool's gold for anyone to make bold predictions based on preseason records when the starters are playing less than a quarter and the offensive defenses are scaled back schematically. With that being said, talking about your Chicago Bears, however, I do think they have a plan for Justin Fields. And, coming into the season, I thought it was a big question mark with their offensive line. But when you look at Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, and also Michael Schofield, and on the outside right tackle, Riley Reef, I think they did a great job. When I'm talking about a plan, I think they're going to make things simple for Justin Fields, pretty much put players in motion so he can be able to determine where the Mike linebacker is, where the safeties are, where the coverages are, and get him rolled out, get the football out of his hands, and put the ball in playmakers' hands. And that's what I saw in the last preseason game. And I think he moved the football down the field, keeping the defense off balance.
Wow. I think you may be right. I was sitting there thinking, well, Seattle's not very good, but Kansas City is. And they did a good job, but then again, you're right. That's only the first quarter, and in that game with Kansas City, I'm not sure if they played more than a series. So it's still obviously to be figured out. All right, tell me about the NFC South, and how do you see that division going as we continue with our predictions?
I do think it's a 2-team race between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. And finishing at the bottom, I think it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to finish 4th. I think they just have a lot of holes on both sides of the football, especially at the wide receiver position, at the weapon position. But with that being said, I think Desmond Ridder has looked very good in the preseason. And we're talking about, the snaps. But just looking at him from a mechanic standpoint, he looks great. His ball placement has been excellent, putting the ball on the right shoulder for the wide receivers, get them away from traffic, be able to get them where they can run after the catch, his anticipation, his timing, and he's been very poised in the pocket. But I just think them losing the weapons that they lost, it's going to be hard for them. Losing Russell Gage, not having Calvin Ridley, he's suspended for a gambling situation, having Beth at the tight end, losing Hayden Hurst. So I think they finished 4th. Now going to the Carolina Panthers, and it's really interesting when you look at the Carolina Panthers, because when you look at their roster, I think they have a lot of weapons offensively. Defensively, they have a lot of great players. On defense, they can run after the ball. But I think Baker Mayfield and Matt Rule both are playing for their NFL careers. I think Baker Mayfield is trying to prove that he can be a franchise player. He can be a starting quarterback. And Matt Rule is playing, he's coaching so he can continue as a head coach in the National Football League. I think they'll be a very competitive team, but I have them finishing 3rd.
All right, so hold on one second. I don't disagree with anything here, but I'm curious. What kind of year does Baker Mayfield have in your mind?
I think he has a good year. I think he has a good year because this is a college type of system, and I think he's going to fit in good with this system. I just think when you look at the competition, when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you look at the New Orleans Saints, I think they have a lot of depth on both sides of the ball. They have experience. So I don't think he'll win the division, but I think he has a solid year where he can be able to either be the starter at Carolina or be able to move somewhere else and be a starter. But I think Carolina this year, he'll be able to put the numbers up under this offense.
All right, so now we're down to the Bucs and the Saints.
I think it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 2.
Wow.
I think when I look at Tom Brady, I think him coming back, that was a big statement because he didn't like the way he finished last year. But offensively, on the offensive line, they've just had a lot of losses on that offensive line. Losing Ryan Jensen, the center. Tom Brady does not do very well when you look at pressure coming up the middle. And they already had lost some free agents. They lost Alec Market, and he retired. They lost Alex Kappa, who went on to Cincinnati. I just think the offensive line is just going to be too much depleted. I like them getting Julio Jones. I like them getting Justin Gage from Atlanta. But just offensively, I think going against the Saints are going to have a top 5 defense. I think they've got a plethora of weapons offensively. And I think the biggest question for the Saints, and I got them winning the division, is replacing Sean Payton and replacing Drew Brees. Can Dennis Allen be able to get this team back to playoff contention and hopefully try to get to a Super Bowl? And is Jameis Winston going to be the quarterback that can throw for a lot of yards but have less interceptions? And I think he has a lot of weapons to throw to. Michael Thomas, I think he'll be healthy. Getting Chris Olave, first-round pick from Ohio State, I think he'll make a lot of plays. You're getting Jarvis Landry in the slot, and they have a great defense. Their backfield is going to be one of the best defensive backfields that you see in the National Football League. Getting the Honey Badger from Kansas City, Tyrann Mathieu, I think that's going to be huge. They've got 2 great cornerbacks. You got Lattimore, he's a lockdown corner, and they've got 2 good safeties. So I have the New Orleans Saints winning this division. I think Jameis Winston has a really big year. I think he throws for close to 5,000 yards, and he's only a few quarterbacks that has done it in his career.
I'm in agreement with Carolina and Atlanta 3rd and 4th. I love the New Orleans defense. I agree with you there. I just don't trust Jameis Winston. There's something there. I don't trust him, and that's why I think I would go Tampa over New Orleans. But J-Mo and I are going to make our picks later next week, so I reserve the right to change my mind. As always, we appreciate your contribution, and we'll talk to you next Thursday where you'll do NFC North and West.
Thank you, Dave. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. We appreciate it. That is Russell Copeland, brought to you in part by Memphis Public Golf. If you haven't played the new Overton Park, please do. Please do. If you haven't played Fox Meadows, they've got new greens. They're the hybrid Bermuda that is the best. It's the Tiff Eagle. It's the top that you can get. And even the newest stuff actually is holding right off the – I mean, they're terrific. So there's investment right there. Wait till you see what they do with Pine Hill. It'll open in the spring, and then they're going to close Audubon because they are totally redoing it. It'll be a championship, 7,500-yard course. It'll also have a little par 3. I mean, it's going to be amazing. The city of Memphis has invested in golf. It's a great amenity, and Memphis is a great city. They've caught on to golf. It's terrific. Go support Memphis Golf. Go play today. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio comes your way next. Have a great day, everyone.